these agents. Governance, safety, and compliance is fundamental, right? You cannot have kind of patient data intermingled, payer data cannot intermingle, there are HIPAA constraints. It's one of the fundamental tenets where AI in healthcare is fundamentally ground up even before you start writing the first line of code, because there's so much of security constraints and guardrails that you need to adhere to. And that's where having your agent adhere to the right identity. If you have an individual kind of signing into a system, why not an agent, right? So giving the agent an identity, authorizing it, ensuring it has the right policies to access the right data, tools, systems, so that it does not do what it is not meant to do, right? You are again living in a probabilistic world. Finally, your agents go into production. You need them to be accurate and reliable. In healthcare, once you kind of deploy these agents, the population changes. You will have, it's essentially what you call data drift. And at some point, the agent that was working well with a suite of prompts or some context may start to essentially veer away from what you essentially want it to do. At that point, you need continuous evaluations. You also need what we discussed shortly around OTIL. You need to be able to measure how many calls are going through, whether the traces are right, because you essentially capture traces to build feedback back into your agent, right, to make it better over time. This essentially are all of the agent components, primitives that we use in Agent Dev Studio to accelerate building of agents, essentially creating healthcare-focused workflows. I'll take a moment, right, to show you one of we essentially dog-fooded our own Agent Studio to build something called Gravity Nova, which is a data to insights capability. I'll go ahead and play for you to see.
Introducing Nova by Gravity, the fastest way to unlock intelligence at scale. Ask a question. Type a term like readmit rate, and Gravity Search instantly understands you mean readmission. In seconds, it connects your intent to insight. Then Nova, the BI agent, takes over, running SQL, generating charts and transforming your data into visual stories. Add the chart to a dashboard. Update it with a click. The flow is instant, the experience seamless. Change the chart type, resize it to fit your layout, reconfigure the axis, or build entirely from scratch. For example, using a cohort as your data source to uncover insights. From first search to final dashboard, Nova turns questions into answers, and insights into actionable outcomes. Because every insight deserves its chance to drive outcome. And Nova, by Gravity, makes it brilliant.
Fantastic. I would love for you to go on and try Nova at getgravity.ai. Without going into the weeds of the entire architecture, right, there are a lot of agents kind of working, focusing around how data flow works through, what are we using from agent core in terms of these primitives. Kind of data comes in, all of this essentially is running within an agent core runtime. The data comes through, you are essentially using agent core identity to authenticate the data, using Claude LLM from Bedrock to kind of break it into intent, understand context, respond. Discovery of tools again happens on the Amazon API gateway, the agent core gateway behind which your standard OpenAI endpoints can stay, additional agents, tools. So discovery of tools and context management is fundamentally kind of important for a capability like this. How did we accelerate? Finally, what was the value outcome, right? So using agent core primitives essentially made us deliver stuff in weeks rather than a quarter or more months, right? So think about runtime, memory, gateway, kind of accelerating, where you don't need to build the fundamental or the foundations, which are very repeatable in that sense. While building, you're also ensuring you have the right security. It's not accessing data for different payers or patients that is not supposed to. And that's where identity and policy is super important. And finally, evaluation observability, ensuring it does and is accurate enough, and you're tracing and observing using OTIL in production at scale. To round it up, I think key takeaways from all that we discussed around first what agent core and how we are using it within Innovisa Gravity. It's fundamental to understand. I think it's great to have built trillions of agents in your notebooks, but true value comes only and only when you deploy it in production, right? You have to know how your agents are working, not at the moment, but over time. And that's what will also ensure that you're building and improving your agents. They of course need to scale and scale securely, not accessing data or systems that is not intended to do. And finally, the way to accelerate time to value is to use a fundamental platform which then takes care of primitives and you essentially accelerate or enable your AI engineers to get accelerated to build agents at scale. Thank you. That's what I wanted to share. Now, in order for you to get started, there's a lot of brilliant documentation, workshop, code samples, all of it available here. Fantastic place to get started on your journey on using agent code across the board. And once you're done, it doesn't stop there. There are key takeaways in terms of expert-led training sessions that you can absolutely access and become ready on agent code. Thank you so much.